Hello and welcome, Mr. H.S. Mohan, to the new episode of India Career Center. Mr. H.S. Mohan is the CEO and ex officio Secretary of Infrastructure Equipment Skill Council IESC, which is promoted by Indian Construction Equipment Manufacturers Association, which is ICMA, supported by CII and National Skill Development Corporation under the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Since November 2014, under his leadership, IESC has moved swiftly and has been able to develop 39 qualification packs approved by Government of India covering highway equipments, construction, mining, real estate, leasing, and material handling equipments for operators and mechanics. IESC has so far enrolled over 55,000 candidates for training to cover over 85% of industry job roles. Over 78 training centers have been accredited, and 8 training partners are in different stages of accreditation. Over 800 plus qualified, experienced trainers have been certified from the industry. Mr. H.S. Mohan, with his 4.5 decades of experience in the same industry in senior positions, he began his career as a trainee in heavy engineering group and thereafter joined JCB and rose to the position of general manager and business head. Mr. H.S. Mohan then moved on to Pune to head JCB Heavy Line Operations at Pune Plant. He worked as Chief Operating Officer for the Korean major Doosan Infracore Equipment heading India operation and to his credit of setting up the portable plant in Bangalore. He had a short stint as Executive Director in multinational Vectra Group. Mr. Mohan is a graduate in mechanical engineering from the prestigious National Institute of Engineering coupled with post graduation in marketing. He is also a certified auditor through Cranefield, UK. He has been trained in various fields of management in Tata Management Institute, JCB UK, XLRI Jamshedpur. He has been associated with many associations and is currently active in South Zone CII Forum. He has been a member of industry award constituted by business magazines. Thank you, Mr. Mohan, for being with us. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. S.P. Mishra. It's a big opportunity. And then, thanks a lot for inviting me to be, part of this lecture. And I would say hello to all the listeners who are participants in this program, which is very, very critical. And I really appreciate Dr. Mishra's approach into the India Career Center and then the broadening aspect of life, what is going on in terms of the career growth plan and the approach you can take it up. What are the opportunities that you can look forward, which is never thought in the school or the colleges as such. So, it's been a privilege to be associated and I have been in the construction equipment industry for quite some time and doing majority of the roles which have come up in the industry. And it's always a pleasure to have come back and then give something back to the industry. That has been the aim of my personal involvement and then the interest I had shown. And since then, when I retired and from the active service, I took over as the CEO for the Infrastructure Equipment Skill Council, promoted by the, ICMA, Indian Construction Equipment Manufacturer Association, supported by CII. This is an organization offshoot of National Skill Development Corporation, which is reporting to the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. This is the, which we call it as in short term MSDE. This was formed in 2008, but got the recognition during the year 2014, wherein a separate ministry was formed, and then this took that the whatever the required impetus that was required, it was put into place. National skill development is a formation through the MSDE, wherein which the government felt that it is not just the government driven project. It should be private partnership has to come into the process. So the government has put in 49% of the equity, and then 51% is from the private partners. When I say private partners, this is from the CII, FICCI, Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce. Then we have NASSCOM, National Association of Software and Service Companies, etc. This has been well recorded, and their commitment to the system is a huge, because the country as such they are making efforts to remove the disconnect between the demand and supply of skilled manpower, because you all agree that what we studied or what we are studying, what we're going to study will not directly put you onto a job frame where the job requirement for parameters are more into the practicalities of the learning what you are done, which we normally call it as on the job training. But the skilled workforce, what they bring in the ready-made approach to the problem what the industry is facing and what the people want to recruit, because the gap can be reduced and the candidate as such can form his opinion to take up what job role he will be more comfortable and put his career plan in front of him. So far, the NSDC has trained and certified over 5.2 million students, which they have find a job, and it is our duty as a successful council to approach the industry and then give them minimum 70% of these people a job in the beginning, because that's one of the conditions that we work along with that. And there are another 298 million people needs to be upgradation in the skilling system. You see, the people who are already working, they have been working the same part of it without much of a career progression or upskilling of their knowledge in terms of their overall growth. So that is a very, very huge task the government has undertaken, which we call it as upskilling / reskilling. That is another 298 million has to join in there. And going forward, India requires another 104 million people in the next 10 years, which is not an easy part of it. One time we hear that we don't have a job. The other time the industry says that we don't have the right people. And that's the way the gap has come up. And we deal with, as a sector skill council, we deal with the operators and mechanics, where I've been mandated to train the people for the construction equipment, which you have seen, the JCBs on the road, then you see the pavers on the roads, much of the mining equipments in the mining field, they're all huge and costly equipment. Not only costly equipment, it requires anything that happens is the productivity and safety. We all talk about, project overrun. We all talk about, the overall things, what you see every day in the newspaper. It's going to cost us so much money. What is good is that, what the operator knows is the best of the equipment is that what he knows only currently. He is not being dealt with the knowledge, technical advantages, how to utilize an equipment perfectly. That's a very important point for the industry. So this is where we do this process, joining the industry as well as the academics and then the students coming in. We put them in the frame of mind. We also take them on board, what is required of them to deliver and to get an employment immediately after they are certified by us. That's an important point, which is very, very critical for the persons. This is also now, we are taking a big step, where India is now, started exporting people from India, which is another very right step, because world required, people which, where the age is of any of the European and American countries. When you take the Indian countries, the age is the biggest advantage for the, for the people concerned. We have 64% of our population are in the age group of 29 to 35 years. And India is underdeveloped in terms of skilling. Whereas, if you take Korea, the skilled people are about 94%. And in India, currently we stand about 3 to 4%. This is a huge gap. Huge. And then obviously, we have been devoid of, getting into the industry and then the requirement. The government is making efforts to bring in the NEP, new education system into the process, wherein which the academics and then the practical part of it will be started integrating from the high school to college level. So the candidate knows what are the things that is available to him, not going into the same subject again and again, and he can define his life, what he wants to do that part. NEP has got a greater advantage in the change of educational system. So this is the initial part of the what I can explain to you with reference to the skilling ecosystem. And Dr. Mishra, I would like to take it forward with any other question that can come up from you.
Yeah, I think, sir, very elaborate answer on the overall understanding of the IESC and how it is run, who is funding it, and all that. So obviously, this is very focused for the construction equipment industry. So, would you like to give a overview of how's the industry performing? Let's say from the year 2021-22, and what is the kind of projected volumes we are going to see in the next 10 years, and what exactly that means with respect to job opportunity for the young people who are going into the job market in the next 10 years, starting from this year onward?
So this is a very, very, very good question, because the industry, of course, has suffered the last couple of years because of the COVID conditions. And this is to go through. I mean, it's always hard that, we have suffered, but end of the day, if you look at what you hear every day, the statement from the ministry, the road work is going on, 30 kilometers of road is being done every day, at least. They would like to increase it further. The jobs have been going on, but end of the day, there are certain, the whole system is not getting close because of some shortage of workers. People have gone back to their hometown or anywhere that it is there. There are continuous problem in the system, but it is now getting corrected, and hopefully with COVID situation coming or easing out, things should work it out much more positive into the game plan. See, industry as such, it was in the last 3 years. 3 years back, industry sold about a lakh of machines, across the country. That was the biggest growth what they had, but they dropped down to 84,000, before last year, and then improved to 87,000 last year. And this year, 21-22, they are looking at, somewhere around a lakh of machines again. And that's a very important development. Industry has not gone down further, but people are, are well fed with the good orders. The execution as such has been a bit of a challenge because of components availability, which is resulting in the people availability with the MSME sector. All that it is happening, but these are all getting into the main structure to supplies, and then the manufacturing process has started quite well. Industry as such has got a thumb rule. In our construction equipment, we call every machine requires 2 operators. The definition is approved, and then this thumb rule is accepted across the industry, and it has been promoted by all the manufacturers, not only manufacturers, even the users. I don't know whether if you have heard the word called the chotu. If you see any machine across, or you see a truck across, there is a driver and there is a small helper, and that is, we call them as a chotu. And then these are the 2 people who take forward, and going forward, the driver moves on, and then the chotu will take over, and he becomes the operator. And then again, the chotu will have another chotu to help him out. That's how the industry works across, and it's a very important development for the industry, and that's how it has been. So far, it has been working in that way. But the problem what is coming in that the knowledge on the technicalities of these machines are going much, much, much higher than what we are looking at things. Because all the manufacturers as such in India, if you take Komatsu, you take JCB, you take Caterpillar, you take Volvo, many, many others, they are all international players. Earlier, India used to have a technology 1 grade or 2 grade lower than the international market what they used to supply. Now today, India has become a major supplier of the good equipment, technological equipment, even to European countries, American countries, and other part of it. Like for example, if I can tell you that JCB exports about 154 countries, they export the equipment from India today. So technology is at par with the international technology, or even much more better than that part of it. So what is the gap over there? The guy, we can always provide the technology, we can always make an equipment to be efficient, but the guy who operates, the operator is the most critical part of the equipment running. So this knowledge has to be imparted during the skill training, and that is exactly the thing that is, which is being getting established. Industry has accepted us. The market is feeling the difference between trained operator and skilled operator, and then the untrained operator whom they recruit for themselves. There is a Tata projects have made a huge study where they say that their fuel consumption has come down by 5 to 6% on the equipment, which is huge cost. And there is, of course, machine availability is also has gone up. Spare parts consumption has come down, and then the overall satisfaction of the project in the execution is far better than what it was. So with this process, ICMA recently engaged, Boston and Boston Consultancy as their project manager, as their consultants to develop the plan for 2030. So 2030 is the part where they are projecting 3x machines as from today. That is, if it is today a lakh of machines, it will be about 3 lakhs of machines by 2030. So if you say 2 lakhs 30, if I put the equation what I told you earlier, 2 operators per machine, which is virtually works out about 6 lakhs of operators by 2030 per year. That's what exactly the thing. We are projecting in our business plan by 2030, at least we require about 4 lakhs per year of certified and trained operators and mechanics. It's a huge opportunity. I can tell you that I've been working with the Crane Owners Association of India, Aerial Lift Platform Association of India. Today, we do not have trained crane operator. Any 500-ton crane operator, today, most of them are from Uttar Pradesh. They have been paid a salary of about 80,000 to a lakh of rupees. Not only that, they take care of the families, they take care of their movement, etc. Because as and when they go on leave, they have to be back on the flight immediately. And then they are all paid the airfare and other process. That is the way that industry is working. There is a whole gap in the system. I need to add here, there are some of the underground mining equipment which are there, where the government is still giving license from the operator from Peru. We do not have the competency in the system. And their salary is much more than the MD of a company.
Right.
That's where the opportunity stands. Of course, we all see the JCBs, we all see the other equipment on the road, which is a moderate and then very high efficient utility machine. But there are very specific equipment which requires a highly technological operators and mechanics, which not only fetches you a good salary, but also gives you a good career progression in the system. As of now, we already did one program at Dubai to train about 23 people for the equipment over there, hot mix plant. And then we are fortunate to be looking at and recruiting about 50 diesel mechanics to Australia for the mining equipment. And we are in the process of talks with some of the Central African countries to supply 200 operators in the system. So world is a very big, they accept India as a good country today in terms of the commitment, the people they are there, and it's a very, very good opportunity for us to move forward. One has to look at it. And the tragedy of us is that we never defined this career progression earlier on. Now today, Infrastructure Equipment Skill Council, with the help of the industry and then the users, we have come out with the career progression plan, where it goes from level 3 to level 10. Level 3 is the junior assistant, which we call it as a CHOTU. We don't make any job role for level 1 and 2 because these are very, very basic, extremely basic. And level 10, when you compare to the academics, level 10 is a doctorate, PhD. So, level 7 is a graduate. We need to treat them as a graduate. Whoever passes the level 7, forgetting about the academics, whatever it is there, Government of India notification is there that level 7 gentleman needs to be treated as a graduate, and the benefits to be offered as a graduate, whatever the segment they work and whatever the thing that the company is offering. So it's a good thing part of it. You can look forward for a good system to go through. And this also applies to the people who are already there as the people who are already working for 2 years, 3 years and all that, they can also join in the upskilling or reskilling of the, on the equipment and then the knowledge upgradation. Then they will also join with the certification, go to level 3, 4, 5, and then join into the system. So Infrastructure Equipment Skill Council as of now have developed the job role from level 3 to level 7, which is also include the graduate engineers in level 7 and all that. We haven't come across at level 8 and 9 and 10, which depends on the industry requirement, where currently, since we are looking at operators and mechanics, we are, putting ourselves in this game plan to increase our volume. But as we move to design, R&D, other process, we need to go for a higher level of, the certification, where level 8 and 9, 10 will come into the process. It's a big, big opportunity. And I still believe that, all our youngsters who are looking for a career, it's a big, big thing to look at things. And then, we are there to support and see how best we can do, jointly together.
Good, sir. So that's a very positive way to look at future in terms of opportunity. You mentioned about, the growth of market from 1x to 3x. So that's a huge, huge opportunity for young people at different age groups to look at this as a great opportunity. So here I would like to ask one thing, that the operators in India, whether it is a JCB or any other operator, as far as I know, they are not given a particular certificate like let's say the truck drivers, which is actually done through the RTO registration, RTO process. For the machine operator, is there any thought process to take it as a formal way of certifying and giving them a license for using the construction equipment as an operator? So is there any thought of government to take it forward like that?
A very, very good question, Dr. You see, unfortunately, if you want to drive a scooter in India, you require a license. If you want to drive a truck and all that, obviously you come under the RTO registration and you need to have a license. But in the industry, if you want to drive any of our equipment, you don't require a license. That has been the lacuna in the system. As IESC, as ICMA, we have represented to Government of India that you need to make all these operators and mechanics and mandated that, who are certified by us and, given them that facilities to do that and come out of the current RTO system, because it doesn't come to our, equipment manufacturing or equipment operations. This is receiving the Government of India attention because they all understand that, because there was an initial, their problem was that if we make it mandate, how do we get 100% of the people, in one site? We said, no, sir, kindly don't do it. We are also unable to deliver that kind of people in one go. Kindly make it, in a phased manner. So, make it, 20% and then 40%. And by fifth year, you have 100% of the people who are certified. This representation is given to Ministry of Road Transport. ICMA is working very, very closely with them. We are working with the Skill Ministry, where they have written to the concerned ministries across. And we are in touch with the all people concerned at the top level. But, this becomes the one of the drive where we can make the people to come forward. Not only that, it makes things to go in the right way. You cannot equate everything to an RTO. It doesn't help us out at all. So that process is on, Dr. Mishra, and it is going to be a good thing. And I do expect, I have been fighting for this for at least 4 years on this subject. And I'm very sure that it will be heard. And now that the industry is behind this, people have started feeling the difference between the unskilled and the skilled operator. And people are also, very, very, accepting our process, that because initially contractors had reservations that, sir, why should we pay more? Because if guy gets trained, he may ask for more money. That was their issue. Then we were part of it that, yeah, where does he go? If he leaves you, he'll go for the industry only. He's working to your colleague, nothing more than that. So all that it is getting matured in the system. But we still require, unfortunately in India, without legislation, nothing moves. And, we hardly have any people, like, for example, Tata projects. They have made mandate that any people working in their project has to be certified and, approved by IESC. Same thing is happening with Adani, skill development, all of the Adani projects. Now, these are the people who have joined us in the process, and we are in touch with L&T, we are in touch with Sterlite Industries. all these contractors who are A-class contractors are coming forward to make sure that, these people are certified, people are used at site. And that's the biggest thing that we have achieved so far. And with the government coming into the picture, this will be a very, very big success story.
Yeah, I think trained manpower will only bring more efficiency to the system. And of course, the safety is such a big concern today. I think all that will get addressed if we have the right kind of people who have been certified to use the equipment. I think I'm sure if this our conversation reaches out to the people in the government or people who can make those decisions, I'm sure we'll take this forward. And as Mr. Mohan mentioned, there has been representation from the IESC to make this mandatory. I'm sure eventually that's going to happen because that's good for everybody. I think it's win-win for everybody, for the employees, employers, and for the OEMs and the government as well. Now, coming to the next one, you talked about, of course, the big opportunity with respect to the operators. Also, what about the opportunity for the mechanics? What kind of numbers we're looking at? What is the requirement? What is the projected requirement? Where is the gap? And how are we addressing that?
Dr. Mishra, it's again, it's a very, you just can't have one side of the story of operators. The other side of the story is that, any equipment which you are working in site, which is normally to our experience, it depends on the segment what we are looking at. Normally, what we estimate is about any 12 to 15 machines you require a mechanic. That's what it is, the maintenance process. But that can vary, if we are working in Northeast, probably because of distance and then the mode of travel, it may become less. If you are working in the mining sector, it may further become less. That's a part of it. But in general, 12 to 15 machines working in a territory, that requires one good mechanics. And again, these mechanics are divided into two chapters. One is the senior mechanics and then the junior mechanics, which we start. We start with the junior mechanic as a job role. And he also gets into the master mechanics and then a senior mechanic, master mechanics, and then the overall process. Supervisory level. Level 7 is the supervisory level of mechanics. So the industry as such today is that when we talk about, two machines and per two operators per machine, and then we talk about a mechanic of 10 to 12 to 15, machines, one mechanic, huge opportunities. IESC has developed the job roles for engines. IESC has developed the job roles for hydraulics. We have developed the job roles for electronics and electricals. So all the three job roles are three different, subjects which we deal with initially. And as we go to level 5, level 6 and all that, it gets combined because he should be able to organize one machine, one man. He can be able to sort out the issues, whatever that is possible in the system. When we talk about these mechanics, it's quite a, if you take the normal mechanic of a car and normal mechanic of any other equipment, and if you talk about the mechanics of any of the construction equipment, now today all our equipment are fully fitted with hydraulics. That's a major subject. Engines are becoming, much more advanced in the technology. And then if you take the electricals, the most advanced technology has come up, in the whole system. So all that it is, it is already integrated into our training schedule or the training QP, we call it as qualification pack, where we put the whole process in the place. What is that we do that is in the qualification pack is that if an operator or a mechanic comes into the system, what he is supposed to look at, that's first, plan. Second is that what is expected of him. Suppose he wants to repair a pump or repair a, part of it, what is expected of him to do that part of it? What help he may require, what consultation he has to do it, what components he may require, that's the part of it. And then the advantage of getting it back, assembling the whole equipment and then testing it. These are the four part of it. Similarly, it happens with the operator. Operator has to come in, look at the site condition. When he sits in the machine, what he's supposed to look at, in the machine, what is the lever, what it is, what is supposed to do that part, what are the instructions for him. Third is that, when he does the operation, what is expected of him? Whether he's supposed to load a truck, whether he's to take out dig a trench, it all depends on the site condition. And then lastly is that how to close the machine with after it is safety. Safety means you are sitting in the cab does not mean that you are safe. You also have to ensure that people across the site are also safe. No, with the machines in operation. So these are all the things that we have made very very clear in our qualification pack what we prepare, which changes from equipment to equipment. But it is a general qualification pack, covers all the equipment together. It need not be a one specific model of an equipment. So when I say excavator, it is excavator. So that covers the whole excavator part of it. When we say wheel loader, it is all wheel loaders, and it is made so general that anybody of the part of it, they can use these standards. But we also have the, what we call as a training material, which is very, very important. If some of the equipment has got much more than what it is in terms of the technologies, some people may be in the liver may be right, liver may be left, all that. In the model curriculum, when they do these slides or the preparation for the candidates to learn the process, they can include all that in the training program and then teach these people what's the specialty of that particular equipment in the process. So all our job roles are such a way that we are dealing with an equipment for an efficiency, productivity, and other part of it. 70% of our job roles are all hands-on training, and 30% is the classroom session. So the classroom session takes into account anything that comes as a gap or any learning that may come up, because we are now, as a government policy, we need to change the standards once in 3 years. And because we need to upgrade, because machines are getting upgraded and all that, and it has to be further go into the system. We are okay with that if it is what is good. So obviously, this it is not like what we used to study earlier on. Even in 3 years, we need to relook at the standards what we have prepared, upgrade the standards, upgrade the model curriculum, make sure that we are well within the industry norms. So that is the biggest advantage of the Succession Council, and that's what we are trying to do, so that we are up the norms and make sure that the candidates who is getting trained is well informed of the new things, what is up there in terms of technology, efficiency, and his overall confidence to operate a machine or service a machine.
Well said, sir. In fact, just to take a cue from your answer, as you mentioned, I think the technology upgradation is constantly happening. And today, probably most of the machines are connected to the internet. IoT is something which is almost there in every machine. And along with that IoT connectivity, it is not just the engineer who is on the job site who should be aware of the technology, but also the backup staff who are actually handling these machines, sitting back in the office and probably also monitoring them constantly. Even their skill level also needs to be upgraded. So I'm sure whenever the next upgrade, probably IESC will also take cognizance of this fact that apart from the mechanics who are on the ground, you need to have very intelligent and well-informed people back in the office as well, who would be actually handling that and giving a backup service to the people in the front. So what do you think about it?
I agree. It's a very good input. This is one thing which is definitely a part of it is not just the frontline people, the backup people in the also system. Because we have been now trying to do job role for the tunnel boring machine. And I have been at the site. Especially in Bangalore, visiting the sites and all that. It's a very most technologically advantaged and very complicated machine. It's not that what we think about it. But as you said very rightly, most of the machine operators of these tunnel boring machines are graduate engineers, and that's what they are. But they are doing their job, but the electronics and the controls are also outside the machine parameters, and that also requires a guy who understands what is exactly the process, which is in the they have to learn and then make sure that they record the data, and also it is not only the most critical part is the safety over there, extremely an important point, because all the time the parameters are recorded, but also it has to get into the safety aspect. That is being done correctly by the I would say whatever the site that I visited, they're all diploma holders in electrical and mechanical engineering. They are aware of the thing. The companies have trained that. We have wherever the sophisticated equipment comes, where the data has to be do that. We take your point, and that has to be incorporated in the qualification pack, which you have done it. For example, if we take the aerial lift platform, where the gentleman or the operator is at a very high level. He's working on that front. And more than the equipment, the operator safety, the guy who is working over there is a very critical part. Some of the time, the controls are taken care of from the ground level. Some of the you are taking controls at the basket, what you are working in the system. So those are all the things that we already incorporated in our qualification pack. Similarly, that is happening with the what you call tower cranes. Tower cranes, you will be surprised that if the wind pressure goes beyond 60 kilometers, the tower crane has to stop operating. That is that's the way that all tower cranes are designed. And the tower crane is another very complicated equipment because there is a signal man downstairs and the operator is on the top. I don't know what height he is there at that moment, but there is an interconnectivity of their top and the lifting of load and that's part of it. So very, 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 it looks very simple, tower crane, but the operation and then the maintenance, especially on the safety, calls for it, and we have inbuilt on the qualification pack, which we already done that part of it, with the help of the industry, with the help of the user industry. So this is the way that we look at it in that process. As I said, this is a dynamic situation where we need to keep on improving ourselves and then make sure that, we bring this qualification pack upgraded, once in 3 years. But in between the what you call the model curriculum, we upgrade from machine to machine or from the phase to phase so that we are well within the system. That is an ongoing process and it will be taken up. It will be definitely be incorporated wherever it's necessary.
Right, sir. I think that's a good answer and very clear answer into what exactly is going to be the future shape in terms of upgradations. Now, sir, we have heard about the opportunities, obviously, which is there. So if somebody, a young chap who is in, let's say, in school or in diploma or in graduation and wants to, get into the construction equipment industry, obviously, somebody has to go through these qualification packs, what you mentioned, apart from the basic education. So how somebody can reach out to these partners? Who are the training partners? How many of them are there across India? And how the people in general can reach out to them? What is the mode to reach out to them? If you can tell our listeners a little more about this.
Yeah. Currently we have 78 training partners across the industry, at the length and breadth of India. If you take Northeast, East, Northeast and South and West, everybody is there, and this data is available in our website, www.iescindia.com. All these 78 training partners are chosen and selected by us. They are certified by us. We have put a norms, whether it's an operator training or a mechanics training, they need to have the facilities, required infrastructure in the process. The basic infrastructure for an operator is that they need to have a machine concerned, which one equipment they would like to train. They need to have 10,000 square feet of area for the hands-on training. And then they need to have 2 classrooms to accommodate 25 people each. So, this is the basic structure that what we put in. If we take the mechanics, they need to have an electrical lab, they have to have a hydraulic lab, or they have to have an engine lab. All these testing facilities combined, or it can be an independent part of it. So these are all very well done. We have also gone to the extent of saying what are the spanners, what are the tools that he requires in that lab. It's already there in our website. So this is where it's a very, very well defined. So no need for anybody to struggle in the system. So all that, suppose somebody is from Bhubaneswar, we have a dealer who have a training partner who is very close to that. He can approach them and then, go for the training, what job he's interested or what role he wants to take it up, when is the next program coming up, and then do that part of it. This is for the basic learning in the system. What you have talked about the, ITIs, or the guy who is talking about HPAS, coming out of the, part of it. In fact, you said the right thing. See, the government of India's regulations is that, most of the people at the level of 8th and above, or even 5th and above, they are school, they just walk out of the school because of so many reasons. They need to be given employment, they need to be given, food and shelter. This is where, that focusing on that segment, for us, it is a more part of it. We give them an opportunity to become an operator or a mechanic, what he likes about it. and then get into that. It's a very simple part. Otherwise, we have what the IESC phone number is there. We can contact our office. We'll guide them into the system, and then make sure that they are put into the right people so that he goes through the training program what he likes. And all our training programs are, we require about 20 students or candidates for the operator training, and then about 10 to 15 students for the mechanics training, because this has to go through the batches. So what we do is that our qualification packs, model curriculum, at the end of the model curriculum, we also have the question paper. It's already designed, covering all aspects of what we talk about. There's a question paper in the system. On this question paper, we don't do the assessment. We have a third-party assessment. Assessment agencies are there who are, qualified and approved by IESC and then the NSDC. That's what it is exactly the thing. We take their help. The industry people, they will come and do the assessment. He can be an expert in hydraulics. He can be an expert operator in the system. They will be deputed, and then they will do the examination. They will declare the result, and we issue the certificate. That's what exactly the process is concerned. There's a value to what we do. That's very important point. So we say very, the system has to be, it's finally whatever we're trying to do. We are trying to do the training, give a job to a deserving candidate. That's what we want. I can give a job, but the candidate has to be acceptable by the user. If the candidate does not have the right kind of training or the right kind of approach, obviously the candidate will not remain in the field. So our make sure that this guy gets a job. That has been the primary primary objective of all of us. We make sure that these guys are there. There are 78 people, 78 training partners who can contact. Majority of them are OEM training centers. They will be very happy to support any one of these requirements coming in. There is some more other training where we call it as RPL, recognition of prior learning. If a guy has operated the machine for more than 2 years at a particular site, and then he need not be trained in that, taking him to classroom, taking him to the part of it and all that. We need to upgrade whatever the skill that he has developed, and then take him on board on the theory of it, what the equipment that technology has developed. So which we call it as an RPL program, which is a 40 hours program. When we say 40 hours, it is a 5-day program. With the first day, we call all these people, have a test on the QP that what we have concerned about it. Suppose we take an operator for a paver. If we take the test of him, in that QP, we know that, what are the gaps that he has got in terms of the knowledge gaining. So we second, third day, apart from the, machine, we take him to the nearest machine and then also the classroom, give him the upgraded version of what is his learning is all about. It can be individual, it can be collective, and make them to understand the latest thing what has come up. And then on the 5th day, the examiner comes from the outside, he will come and do the assessment on the QP, whatever it is there. So it's a good system where we recognize the earlier experience in the system. He does not waste, 1 month for the physical training. He goes further beyond that. This regular RPL program can be done even after office hours. For example, somebody cannot be deputed for 5 days continuously because of a production problem. They can do, say, 2 hours in a day and continuously do it for 40 hours. Or 5 hours in a day, do it for 40 hours. So it is the contractors or the operators, convenience that people can do it at site, and that can be done. And that's what we will be ensuring that, people are fully cooperating at their convenience. We do the training program. That's exactly the thing.
Details about the training partners, all that is available on the website. So I will share the details on the show note about the website, where to find out these details, and also share the IESC helpline phone number, so that anybody who wants to really want to know specifically about any particular subject or training program, they can actually get it very easily. It is something which I'm sure any deserving person or aspiring person can actually get into it. Now, sir, coming to, you mentioned about 78 training partners, and even if, let's say, each one of them produce 1,000 people out of each of these systems, we can reach a maximum of about 78,000 per year. Obviously, the gap is still very, very huge. So is there any plan to further expand this training partner program And do you think there is an opportunity for young entrepreneurs who are probably in the similar field, who are, let's say, currently working in some organization and they want to start something as a young business entrepreneur? Do you think that there is an opportunity for that, and how they should approach that, whom to contact, what should be the process?
Yeah. It's a very good question, no, Mr. Sab. See, the criticality of that is, we need to move forward. There are two things that is happening in the current system. The cost of our training is quite high, because of the capex and opex. When I say capex is the capital expenditure, opex is the operational expenditure. So, the government, had some provision earlier on. They used to call it as PMKVY, Pradhan Mantri Kaushalya Vikas Yojana, where they used to fund the program for the people who really deserve some money to be given to them. And that currently it is about 49 rupees 70 paise per candidate per hour. That's exactly that is going on. That has got a bit of an attachment. When the mobilization takes shape, you get 50%. When the training completes, you get 20%, and another 30% after the placement of the candidate by these training partners. So replacement is a very critical part. Not only placement, the candidate has to be in that job for 3 months. And then the next 30% of the payment comes to the training partner. He can collect the money through us or directly from NSDC. But this amount is not good enough. Definitely not good enough. Currently, cost of training for an operator, even for a backhoe loader, all that, it stretches beyond 120 rupees per hour. Whereas you are paying, 49 rupees 70 paise per hour. The other side of the story is that we have most of the training, some of the training partners where they charge for the training. Because it's an interconnectivity. Sir, I get trained, do I get a job? Yes, you get trained, you will get a job. So the guy says that, sir, I'll pay the money. Whatever that you require for me to training, I'll get the money. So that process is on. In our sector skill council, we are not are least dependent on the government funding. Because one, it is not good enough. Second is that, we that leave the freedom to the training partner. What he wants to collect from the boy. Some people collect 15,000 rupees per training for a month of training on the backhoe loader. It can be different. There are people in Punjab where they are offering the job in Canada, where they are collecting substantial amount. And then not only they do the training, they have a tie-up over there, and then these boys are sent over there. So it's a good part of it. And then there are understanding with the bankers where they can fund this even 15,000 rupees. And then, these boys can be, make sure that, they are not avoid or divide of a training. And then that can be done. And that process is already on. So the criticality is, take the advantage what it comes, because you have limitations, because industry as such, we are not like any other sectors in council like agriculture, gems and jewelry, where it is fourth grade people are, the small people who are working in that are skilling. But in our case, the industry as such, is an industry which is going forward in terms of the approach. And people are capable of taking the money, either directly by the candidate or by the contractor himself, who is, who wants a trained person in the system, or the OEMs whom they use their, funds, whatever that it is available to them. So all that it is there. The system is coming into the process, and we make sure that the deserving candidates, given a chance into the system. So it's a good thing which is happening. Funding will definitely be a problem. When we ask money, that is also there. But this is where, the system has to put in. There's a maturity has to come into the system that will go to come up. That process is on.
Yeah, I think I get your point. If you depend on government funding or government subsidy, then it's, I can understand it's very, very bureaucratic in nature. I mean, different percentages are taken at different levels. But if any young entrepreneur or a young person who is actually listening to our podcast today and has some idea about, he understands what is the gap, where is the opportunity, and if the people who want to get trained want to make that the payment by themselves, then it could be a good opportunity for people to really start this as a new business, because I think skilled manpower will be a key to our growth. And because of so much of focus on infrastructure investment, whether you call it NIP and other things, the focus on infrastructure development is only going to grow. And that is what Mr. Mohan mentioned, that from today's level, the industry is going to grow 3 times by 2030. So huge opportunity. Obviously, these 78 training partners cannot provide that gap, bridge that gap. And it is not just for India, but I think also if somebody is smart enough, like what you mentioned about Punjab, where they are training people and sending them to Canada, I think that also is a great opportunity. So I would encourage young people who have the bend of mind for entrepreneurship to really come forward. And I'm sure I can share the details of Mr. Mohan in the show note, where you can reach out to him one-on-one and take his all the wisdom of understanding this process. I mean, Mr. Mohan understands about the bureaucracy side of it, and also the output side of it. I think he is the right interface for you to get in touch with Mr. Mohan and get all the guidance from him, and take this as a business opportunity. I mean, is that correct in my assessment, Mr. Mohan?
Yeah, exactly. We require to help them out. We require to guide them. That's very important. You see, there are, which I was talking to you, the government funding, NSDC themselves, we call them as a PMKK, Pradhan Mantri Kaushalya Kendra. Anybody who's interested to open a training center, they can go and approach NSDC for funding. And that funding depends on how they want, what job role they want, and how much equipment they do that, all that. NSDC definitely, they will give the funding, on the recommendation of the Sector Skill Council, and it is an interest rate of 6%. For a period what that you are looking at. But not only they do that part of it, they are under compulsion to give the number of training numbers per year. They allocate the numbers and the government funding, provided this, that suffices your overall operation, which to me is not good enough to do that part of it. So there are systems. Banks are funding very, very clearly. It is almost the bank interest rate has also come up to that level today. That's another part. You also asked a very good question on the scaling of numbers. That's a very important thing. See, IESC has taken a lead. When we talk about 78 training partners, majority of these training partners are multi-skilling equipment. Apart from the OEMs who deal with their equipment, for example, JCB does some vast of equipment, from the backhoe loader to excavator to loader to compactors and all that. You are training 4 batches at a given time. That's exactly the thing. We also have taken initiative to bring the private training partners into the Green Plan, which we call it a Center of Excellence. We have opened one Center of Excellence in Chapra, with the current place where we call them as a catchment area. If you go there, people are ready to get trained and they want a job. And that's going very, very well and extremely well. And there are 4 equipments we are working, from the construction equipment side. We also have opened another Center of Excellence in Hyderabad with National Academy of Construction, where the OEMs have donated the machines. Not only donated the machine, they have done a great job in training those people and then monitoring those people coming out in the system. The local offices of the manufacturers are fully involved. That is going great. Now, we have also done another Center of Excellence in Adani Skilling, which I was talking in Surat. They are doing the same multi-skilling in the system. We are in the process of joining hands with Department of Heavy Industries, our line ministry, wherein which we want like to take one of their PSUs to support us on the skilling ecosystem. They will provide us the space and then the area, and then the OEMs may join with the equipment, donation and other process, and then the catchment area is very critical. Give them the job. So there is record thing which is going on establishing ourselves with much more OE, center of excellence. So not only that, going forward, we may do the center of excellence with other sectors in concept. For example, automobile sectors in concept. Who are also compatible with us in terms of their approach, part of it. So we can also join with them and then do the center of excellence going into a big, game plan, the numbers. That the process is on. We have been talking to another 4 or 5 training partners, possible training partners for center of excellence, and they are ready to invest. They are ready to look at the way that we can train them and then charge and do the training, and then also provide them the job. Wherever job is fixed, your training cost will be zero in terms of the approach because people are ready to pay for that. So it's a two-sided part of it, and people have taken that interest is coming forward. So that's the way that we look forward. But as you said very rightly, it is still not good enough to meet 4 lakhs operators per year by 2030. We require more private training partners to come into the system, and that's what our approach is all about.
Okay, sir. So what about the diploma colleges or ITI colleges? Is there any initiative from IESC to also connect with them and probably add one module of your qualification pack into the standard curriculum, and make sure, I think, people who are actually coming out of the ITI or the diploma school have the opportunity to take that additional qualification pack and come out ready for the industry. Is there any thought or any such action in that direction?
Yeah. It's because when I talk about mobilization, they are the most important people in the system. Because today, of course, we talked about ITIs. They have been accountable for most of the jobs which is coming in the level of 3, level of 4. Whatever that it is important for them. We already tied up with the Commissioner of Labor in Odisha government. We have started at Barbil, program with the ITIs, joining the training program with the L&T construction. That's a part of it where L&T has donated a lot of components and then the trainer and the facilities infrastructure where the candidates from the ITIs, where they have been after there or within the system what they have been trained on hydraulics, they have been trained on electrical, they have been trained on engines, where the candidate can select what job role he wants and they can be consumed well within the system. Barbil is a mining area, as you are aware of it, and the boy can get a job well within the near to his house, and he can be very happy in the system. We already completed about 3 batches of candidates over there. That approach is on. That's very, very critical part. We started one of this program in Goa, where the private training partner, what he did was that after the ITIs they finished their classes, or on a Saturday or Sunday, he opened up his training center at a different place, and they were given both the diploma as well as ITI certificate as well as the certificate from the IESC, which can be combined together for a job to be procured or to be approached for immediate employment. That process is on, and that is where we think that because technicality is definitely required. We are going to the process that it's a very, very technically advanced machines are coming in. These people's role are very critical, and we are in touch with most of the ITIs. 134 engineering colleges are in work with us. We are certified about 1,000 people in the engineering colleges. ITIs we have done much more. The approach over there is quite good, but that has to be further streamlined in the system. NAP is making us the new educational policy is making the difference in the game plan. Any of these candidates going through this education institute has to select one of the skills what they want, and obviously we'll get into that process. And when they are in NAP process, we have to they have to become either a tool room specialist or assembly specialist or welding specialist apart from the engine, hydraulics and all that. That will give us some more cohesive approach to the gaps where we have the market requirement of the demand and the supply. That will go to catch up.
Okay, I think we have delved into a lot of topics today, and you have been able to give very, very elaborate answers to each of these queries. I'm sure we can actually, extend our talk for even longer time, and which I think we will try to do it over few more episodes. And we will again come back with more topics, which is more deep into specific areas, so that the target audience, whether it is students or entrepreneurs, can get the specific direction about what they can do. Meanwhile, of course, I will be sharing the show note with all the details of IESC and Mr. H.S. Mohan. You can contact IESC directly or its training partners, or connect with those ITIs and colleges where IESC is involved and they are associated. Take advantage of all this information, and please do connect with us if you need any specific information where we can give you those specific directions and help you in your journey. Any closing words from your side before we close this episode?
Just to take the candidates through, or the people concerned, we have got 38 sectoral council like us, for all the sectors, whatever we are looking at. And opportunities, not just IESC, it can be, expanded into the approach what you are looking at. I also request all of you to, whoever is interested, to look at the NSDC website, National Skill Development Corporation. If you go to their website, you have got all the details of all the sector skill council in the forum. And choose the job roles or choose your interest where you want to be, and then see where you can go forward, and a career plan is come forward to you. And then that will be a great service to yourself and service to the nation. This is what Government of India is requesting us. And then we will be too happy to support you wherever you feel that we can contribute to you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, viewers and listeners, to join us and invest your time today. Thank you so much.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. We sincerely wish you could take something from our conversation today and be able to apply it to your life in a positive way. We value your feedback. This can help us improve our future episodes. So share your thoughts to serve you better. If you want us to focus on a topic which you think is of importance, let us know. We will share our expertise in future episodes. So, see you soon with a new topic and help you in your career journey.